I'm going to call a meeting to order. This is the Michigan City Port Authority Board of Directors meeting, Monday, August the 7th, 2017. Thank everyone for their attendance. I appreciate you being here. Our first order of business will be to approve or correct the minutes of the July 24th meeting.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes, approve the minutes.
We have a motion and second to approve the minutes as they have been published. Any questions or comments? Questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Mr. Frame, may we have the Harbor Master's report, please?
Sure. This past weekend, we had the Great Lakes Grand Prix Superboat Race. From our point of view, we didn't have any problems. Parking is always a bit of a challenge, but everything seemed to go over pretty well. And I had Rosemary print out some fuel numbers for us. So I'll just give you the totals. But over the 4-day period, now remember the 3rd and the 4th, Thursday and Friday, the weather was pretty windy, so there really wasn't much going on. But in total gallons sold, both gasoline and diesel, we sold 4,303 gallons. And that adds up to $13,526. That's gross. It's not the, So I thought that was interesting. Last week down at Trail Creek, we had a car come through the fence at the, what direction would that be? Well, closest toward 8th Street off of the boulevard. Took out 4 sections of fence, one off the wall there, it's about 9 feet high, and landed on a trailer. So the insurance has been notified and we're getting an estimate on the fence. Nobody was hurt. It did mess up the trailer pretty good. And then last week we did some work on some proposed changes for slip rates for next year. So if you just pass those around and I'll explain what we're doing here. So what we'd like to do for...
Wait a minute, Jim, until I get a copy.
We'd only like to make one change for the slip rates at Washington Park for next year. And we'd like to bump the 25-foot floaters from 1,670 up to 1,700. Those are always full. We always have a waiting list. And so I think we could charge a little more for that. At Trail Creek, what we're trying to do is streamline the rack prices, the covered rack, the inside rack, the outside rack, and the ground rack. Right now, it's a different rate whether you're under 21 foot or between 21 and 24 or over 24. And the problem we've been running into is you ask the person what size boat they have and they'll say it's a 21 foot. And they bring their registration in and it's a 23 foot or it's 22 foot or it's some other number than what they've told you and you get into a big argument. So what we did was took the lower price and the higher price, so let's say the 21 foot rate and the 24 foot rate, and just average the price. So the covered rack, one price, $1,150, and that's an increase of $155 from the 21 foot rate, but it's a decrease on the 24 foot rate. And then the same thing with the inside racks. We would change that to $1,350, just a flat rate. They go up to 24 feet inside because we run into a wall issue. And then the outside racks would be $1,050. And the ground racks, we intended always for the ground racks to be just the bigger boats. And so in an effort to keep the smaller boats in the actual smaller racks, we just make the ground racks a straight 1,500. That's about where you are when you're 25 foot and up anyway. And the idea there is to push some of the smaller boats that end up on a ground rack into the actual rack system, either the outside racks or inside racks. So that's the Trail Creek changes. Didn't change the floating slips any at all. Sprague Point, we'd like to add or establish a seasonal fee. Right now it's just monthly over there at $180 a month. And we'd like to add a season fee so you can rent for the season for $800 a month. Basically, you're gaining 3 months for an additional about $80, if I did the math right.
That would be, what, 5 months worth?
Well, our season is almost 7 months. So if you took 4 months at 180, you're getting real close to $800, so you just get the whole season then.
I didn't mean to interrupt, I apologize.
And then the only change we'd like to do on the winter storage is we currently still have a thing called a blocking fee of $325, and that first came in when we first started getting away from wooden cradles and going with the jack stands. And the idea there was to try to recoup some of the cost of buying all those metal jack stands that we use. Well, anymore we make our own jack stands, so the cost has really dropped off. We've been doing this for years, and a big complaint we get at the window about winter storage is that blocking fee. So I think it's time we just eliminate that blocking fee, and I think we'll actually pick up a few winter storage people because of that. Stevens, Shoreland, none of those guys charge a blocking fee anymore for jack stands. So those are my recommendations.
Gordon?
I have I'd just do a follow-up question on the Sprague Point season thing for 800. Right now it's 180 a month. Do we get a lot of people? I mean, I'm not second guessing, I'm really not. I'm just trying to clarify in my own mind. Do we get many more than just 3-month periods through July and August there, do you think?
Yeah, we might get a few more. You know,
Do you think this will keep people away?
I don't think it'll keep anybody away because we're not eliminating the monthly fee.
Oh, excuse me.
Just,
I
yeah, I didn't think so,
misunderstood.
It's
yeah.
just in addition to-
I
Right.
apologize.
Yeah.
Thank you for
So
clarifying.
let's say you wanted it for 5 months, you could take that fee and you're better off than renting individually for 5 months.
Thank you.
So what is the bottom line on all of this? How much are we gaining or how much are we losing? I mean, if you add it all up.
It changes every year by the size of boats that you have coming in. Like this would make it all, you'd be able to project what you're gonna get. There's 63 inside racks, and it's gonna be 63 times 1350. It's gonna be a positive number.
Do we fill our inside up 100% every year?
Yes.
We do.
I didn't understand the question.
I was wondering if we filled up our inside 100% every year.
Yeah, covered rack and inside rack are pretty
See
much
if we
full.
pretty much figure out the cost of all this, just not
You almost have a waiting list on that, don't you? Almost.
Occasionally.
You know, but now, Terrence, I understand your proposal here. The overwhelming majority of our slip rates, both in terms of numbers and dollars, are going to remain the same for the 9th year in a row.
Right. Yeah.
I doubt if any other competitive marine in the area can.
No, I don't think they have. We changed a few last year, you'll recall. And we don't want to adjust that because I think we did gain some this year. When you look through the new customer list, most of that is 35s and 40s, which I think is related to the changes we made last year. So, yeah, I don't want to change anything there.
Well, Boyd, Chair will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal that Tim has presented.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion and a second to approve the rate changes for 2018. Do we have questions or comments? Questions or comments? Hearing none, those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. The motion carries. Now that you have this, the board action on this, Your invitations will be going out rather soon, won't they?
Yes. Toward the end of the month, the winter storage will be going out. In the beginning of October, the regular bills will be going out.
Okay, and along with that, the website's going to need some changing.
Yeah.
So, okay,
I have a question, something that our harbor master, our superintendent here talked about. With this accident that the car went through the fence, do you know if the driver of this car had insurance on his car?
Well, according to Mr. Keene over at General Insurance, they do have insurance. However, they appear to have what he considered substandard or the state minimum. So he was going to do some more investigating to find out how much money is actually available to repair various things, such as the fence.
So it probably will cost us some money.
More than likely.
That's the first time in many years we've had a claim. We'll lose a little bit on that because we get a percentage off every year for not having a claim, so that might go up next year.
but as I recall the notice of that accident in the newspaper, there were several children in the car. What, seven
I believe
kids?
so, yeah.
Wow.
And went over that 9-foot drop. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Holy mackerel.
It was, so grateful for
That's
that.
the first I've heard of that.
Is that something we'll discuss later, as in, I mean, is it worth filing on our insurance or?
Well, we'll find out. They're investigating that.
Okay, yeah, 'cause they'll tell us,
Yeah.
if you should, this is what we'd be paying.
Right.
Or if you pay out of pocket, then it doesn't go on your insurance.
Yeah.
Yes,
Maybe a question for Mr. Finn. Is it necessary, since we're not increasing or decreasing rates for 2018, for other slips to make a motion and have it in our minutes?
You know, just the ones that change.
Okay. But we're not changing the others?
No.
Okay, we don't need to make any kind of motion?
Except yours.
No, not necessarily?
Joe, what do you think?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Just the rates that are being changed and voted on.
any other questions, the harbor master?
Anything else?
Nope.
Do you have a question?
I just want to know if the harbor master might have anything else to tell us. Okay.
Nothing for now.
Okay. Mrs. Paliki, may we have your report, please?
On our new customer listing, we have one more from the end of July and 2 more people in August, so that brings our total to 100 new customers this year.
It was about 112 last year, wasn't it, roughly?
Right on, yeah. We have 15 sailboats and 85 power boats.
And people that we lost came out to about 30, 35, something
I
like
think it's
that.
75.
75. Okay.
Yeah, it changes every year right around that number.
Gotcha. Thank you.
And then the other one shows our monthly slip rentals as of August 6th. We've taken in around $16,872, which equals to like 6.5 35-foot slips we would have rented for this money, so it helps a lot. And I just wanted to thank you to the employees for this weekend. We had a full house, and as Tim said, everything went smooth, and we made it through.
Well, I've done here quite a bit, like I usually am, not checking up on anything, of course, but just because I enjoy Washington Park immensely. And I tell you, our people were everywhere doing all sorts of things. And it was always nice and polite and not just sitting around doing nothing. I think we have a great crew, and I wanted to pass that on.
Does that conclude your report, Mrs.
Yes, it does.
The board, do you have questions of Mrs. Paliki? Questions? Hearing none, thank you for your report, Mary Ann. Mr. Garrett, budget and finance report, please.
All right, just have our bills to pay. Touch on 6 items. The first one on the list is the card services for $3,883.86. That's various items that we use, radio, phones, printing, etc. 2 down from there for $9,862.20 with a payroll entry. 4 down from there for $16,299 is our NIPSCO bill. We'll go about 7 down from there, which is about halfway through. And for $2,662 is landscaping fees. And 1 down from there for $2,374.90 is NBA electric, which was Spur Point lights that we talked about last meeting. And 4 up from the bottom for $2,693.25 was Midwest Securities for Trail Creek. If you add those 3 or 6 items up, it totals about $38,000 of the $45,000, which leaves of the 25 items, 6 of them covers well over 3/4 of what's there. So, are there any other questions? I will make a motion that we pay our bills as presented.
Second.
We have a motion second to pay our bills as they have been presented. Are there questions or comments? Questions or comments? Hearing none, those who favor the motion to pay our bills, please say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign. We pay our bills. Do you have anything else to report, Mr. Garrett?
Nothing else.
Troy, do you have questions of Mr. Garrett? Hearing none. Mr. Manner, claims insurance and park liaison.
Excuse me, I did not make the park board meeting, so I have nothing in response to that. And claims and insurance, I had nothing in response to that either, so I have no report.
Okay. Troy, do you have questions or comments you'd like to direct toward Mr. Manner? If not, Mr. Ferguson, Master Planning and Special Projects.
I'll just make one comment. We met sometime in the last week and a half with our marine engineers, Edgewater and Associates out of St. Joe, concerning the outside racks project that we've been talking about for a month and a half. And we just met with them, and they had some ideas on going forward. It seemed to be a pretty good idea what they were talking about, so they're heading out for bids. They'll look for a couple of bids. I think more than anything else, we talked about the footings that would go in, the new footings that would support all this. And they said they'd be getting something back probably within 2 or 3 weeks, as I remember, and we'll report back to that. Anything other than that is just, on that project, is just normal engineering stuff, I think, so. We had a good meeting talking about that for about 45 minutes. But other than that, just let the board know that we're working forward to that, and we'll see what happens. I'm open to any questions on it, though.
Any questions for Mr. Ferguson?
And that's all I have.
Thank you for your report. Mr. Messina, Border Communications, Special Events.
Something that had come up throughout the weekend, this weekend while I was down here, is with our new pumps, I guess we've shown 87% octane. And some boaters have said, why are we now at 87, not 89 as we were in the past? I think I asked Mr. Frame, Mrs. Plucky to check in on that.
It's the same as it's always been, the 87.
Did we not show it before? Or even when I was fueling up, the guy next to me stopped and pulled back out and said he didn't want 87. He had always gotten it here in the past.
As far as I know, that's what we've always had. At least that's what we're being told.
Did we not show it on pumps in the past?
I think it has to have an octane sticker on it. I think the county inspector
New
does
pumps
that.
and new stickers.
That could
Maybe it sticks out more, but even in the docks area, they were questioning.
We could go to 89, that would affect the price,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, if it hadn't been in the past, I don't think we need to change it, just, maybe it's just more noticeable.
Well, would the preponderance of our customers want a change?
I don't know if it'd be a preponderance. There's probably some. You know, I suppose we could do a little survey and see what we can find out.
I don't know, some of the new outboards or even inboards, newer boats require a higher octane. It may be worth a survey to see.
All right, we'll find out.
Also, some of the talk on the dock was that there's not going to be a tri-state race this year. Are you aware of that? Or? You are? And there should be.
No,
Pardon me?
the sailboat race is going on, as far as I know.
Oh, that's
Are you thinking about the triathlon, the City by the Lake triathlon?
Maybe that was what it was. They took it as the tri.
Yeah, the
Next week.
next weekend, they would normally have the City by the Lake triathlon event, and that has been canceled.
That could have been some of
But
the.
as far as I know, the tri-state race, Labor Day weekend, is still on. Sailboat.
Perfection race next week,
When was that, the perfection race?
next weekend.
That's the next weekend?
Okay.
I would think if that one's on, then the tri-state would be on for sure. Tri-state race.
You can call.
So I think this Saturday we have our dock rep meeting. Is that correct? 10 o'clock here. I should be here to
Bruce, do you have a question?
Are you done with that? I'd like to back up to the gas pricing. I guess my question is, if we take this survey and preponderance of people want 89 octane, we are going to have to pay more for it. So does that raise the price of our gas to our customers?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I just didn't want to lose
Right.
money on paying more for gas and selling it at the same
Yeah.
price.
You know, I have not read our fuel contract with our supplier,
But I think,
but I assume that the octane rating is part of that contract, and they could not change it without our approval. And obviously, there would be a price change involved anyhow, but
so the other thing is, if you take this survey, make sure that they realize they're going to be paying more for gas if they want 89. They need to know that.
that information could be a part of the survey.
Okay.
I mean, if it's in the contract that you're going to provide 87 or 89, the contract was the same as it was, same contract from last year to this year.
should be the same.
Yeah, okay.
That's all I
Anything
have.
else, Dan?
That's all.
Lloyd, do you have questions of Mr. Messina? Our next report would be Port Operations Personnel and Marina Policy. I have one thing that I'd like to bring before the board. Now that we have put together our internal review program, and the board has approved it, it's the board chairman's responsibility to name a committee of 3. And the committee I want to name would be Mr. Zyknoon be the chairman. I would like for Mr. Ferguson to serve with him, and I'm going to ask Mr. Haynes to serve with you. So you have a committee, Joe, and
Thank you.
You'll report to us as you feel is appropriate. That's the only thing I have for operations. Mrs. Smear, do you have anything for advertising public relations for us tonight?
Well, I have another plaque from Superboat Race, thanking the Port Authority for all of their hard work. I was listening to Marianne earlier. It is great that we can have confidence in all the various city departments and the Port Authority to help engage in pulling off the event. They adapt well to any changes, challenges, or any needs, so that's always a plus. And the weekend went very well too, so. And I heard that you guys got a little report about the Yacht Club Fish Camp, and I'm sure they were quite busy this weekend as well. I think that's about it.
Thank you. Boyd, do you have questions of Mrs. Smear?
I have excuse me, a follow-up comment concerning the race over the weekend. My wife and I were, as said earlier, we were down in the park and we were walking around all the boats like we do. We were just kind of looking at all this massive horsepower. And we're just walking by one, and this guy was up on one of the big ones. I can't remember what it was. And he just looked around and said, "Hey, how you doing today?" And I said, "We're doing good." I said, "Everything okay with you guys up there?" And he said, "Everything's fine. We love being here."
Yes.
And I didn't prompt him at all. He did that all by himself. And that's the third or fourth year in a row I've heard that, just in kind of walking around and talking to people.
We have been getting that a lot.
They
It's good to
enjoy
hear.
being here. He said in Florida it's kind of different because they don't treat them really as nice as we do up here in the Midwest, evidently. So
Well, we appreciate it.
I pass that on.
Mr. Zach Noon, may we have the attorney's report, please?
Certainly. At the last regular board meeting on July 24th, the board instructed me to prepare a statement to interested parties regarding the Harvey Boat Dash. And that is what I circulated at the beginning of the meeting. Per the board's instructions, there are 3 principles here. That the dash is going to be sponsored by the Board of Works of the City of Michigan City or the City of Michigan City itself. There was also some discussion that maybe the police department or some other department would be sponsoring the dash. But the first principle is that someone other than the Port Authority is going to be sponsoring the event. The event has to be insured by whatever governmental entity is going to sponsor the event, and that the Port Authority needs to see proof of insurance at least 30 days in advance. That way, we're not at the very last minute looking around for insurance, because if there is no insurance, that presents a problem. And the third and final is that the board doesn't want to be in the position that was in most recently, whereby no one really knew who was sponsoring the event. No one had really formally approached the board, and so the third principle is that whoever is going to sponsor the event should either attend in person a board meeting and make that request, or if perhaps it's the mayor, perhaps a letter would be sufficient. But the sponsor of the event has to come to the Port Authority and get the board's approval for the event. And that was all approved by the board at the last meeting, and so in my opinion, if we have the president of the board sign this, that would be sufficient. And then perhaps it can be circulated to interested persons, the people that need to know this information, so that if we do that well in advance, it's not something that comes as a surprise to them for next year.
Well, I think also, Joe, that city administration ought to have a copy of this so that they'll know we're following the guidelines that they provided us.
Exactly. I agree.
So I think in the second paragraph, we have a little repeat there, the Board of Directors.
Oh, did I do that? Let's see. You're right. I will correct that, and
Okay.
and I'll get back to Mr. John so we can sign it. Thank you, good catch.
Second paragraph, oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, first line.
Are there any other questions or comments regarding this issue?
It's glad you pointed out who's going to get this or how we're going to distribute that. Otherwise, just having it in our file
Right.
doesn't really do much good.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then the other matter I had was at the last meeting, we had a quorum and approved, as Mr. Johnson indicated earlier, the internal control policy. And so what I would like to do is get the board members who voted in favor, and it was unanimous, if those board members could sign, and then I'll have the original will stay here, and then I'll have a copy that I'll maintain at the office.
Is there any other business to come before the board?
Thank you.
What is that?
It's the resolution adopting the internal controls policy.
Did you say you would provide board members with a copy that did vote on it?
Yes.
Is it possible for me to still have a copy?
What I'll do is I'll copy,
Okay.
when it's fully executed, then I'll attach the signed resolution and Exhibit A, which is the internal control policy, and then we'll get it out to everyone.
Great.
And there'll be additional copies to it.
I want to sign this one, make sure I have it.
You absolutely will.
It's
That's what was given out at the meeting.
Yes.
Now, John Haynes was here, you voted, right? Yes. Okay, so I'll have to get his signature.
You have anything else to report, Joe?
I do not, Mr. President.
Okay. Is there any old business come before the board?
Did you guys have any old business? I just had a quick question. The rowing team, Marquette's rowing team, and I know I missed the last meeting, but did you guys have any progress on
We did.
that? Yeah.
We had the certificate of insurance, I think I might have it with me, memory serves me, I think they had far more coverage
That's
than anything that I would imagine occurring. I think their excess was, I think, 14 million.
Oh,
And
wow.
then 2 million, I think, per occurrence. So that's plenty of insurance.
Could you send that to me, Joe?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, you don't have to give it to me now. You could email it to me. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know I've got a copy of it here, but I'm just checking to see if I have multiple copies. No, I just have the one.
So with the accident that occurred, we want to make sure that, I mean, that was amazing. So,
Yeah, 7 children and
I know,
nobody injured.
I did see a photo of the vehicle over.
Is there anything else? Don, do you have anything you'd like to say to the board? Okay. Then the chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Also move.
We're adjourned.